And we are live with another episode of the Sci-Fi Power Hour-ish. And we're talking,
Cyberpunk.
yes, cyberpunk. So dystopian science fiction futures where things just suck for everybody. And yet, for some reason, people want to be there, the people who consume this fiction. So,
and not to mention the people who want to live in because they don't want to live in a great big beautiful tomorrow. It's such a, that people in the 50s, in the early 20th century, originally thought of.
You mean like Star Trek?
Yeah,
they don't want to live in Star Trek. They want to live in Battlestar Galactica. Yeah. Shit sucks in the future. Like that's the thing that I don't understand. It's like,
why do people want to live in a future that blows more than certain things that we shouldn't say on TV?
A shitty future. Like, and here's the thing. Like, okay, yes, I realize that people who were born, like people's parents who were born in the 50s and the 60s, there's things now that they never imagined would exist, like the internet. Like back in the day, if you wanted to find out information, you had to go to a library and look it up. Now you can go on the internet, put in your search words, and you can pull up that information immediately. That is fucking amazing. Like, if you wanted to watch a documentary about gophers, back in the day, you'd have to go to a library and hope that they had the reel, and then hope that you could rent the projector, that you could set it up and watch it, okay? Or, when I was a little kid, hope that they had the videotape. Now, if you want to watch a documentary on gophers, you can go to YouTube or some other website and watch all the documentaries about nature you want for free from multiple sources. It's amazing. Why would you want to live in the future? The future now is wonderful. I mean, there's some things that still suck because, nothing's ever going to be a utopia.
I was going to say, at least we got nearly grandeur that is a lot better than what we would have had in a century back.
The only three things we need now is this to make this world like the best thing ever. Post-scarcity society. So basically, people aren't going hungry. People have access to basic necessities, food, water, shelter, that type of thing. Better infrastructure, so like a teleportation system, so the roads and shit aren't clogged. And finally, a holodeck. And then we're good.
But then everything changed when the Cold War happened. Where everyone's perception of the future changed forever.
All we need is a holodeck. All we need are those three things, okay? If we had those three things, the world would be a better place. Because if we were in a post-scarcity society, we would no longer need fossil fuels. And people could put their energy into, developing better technology for other things. If we had access to better infrastructure, once again, we wouldn't be relying on, if you had instant transportation versus, stuff like that, you go anywhere. And then finally, a holodeck, it's the ultimate video game system. Plus, you could work on it. You could design stuff. Be awesome. But I don't know why people want dystopian futures. Here's a question. Has anyone ever thought that Star Wars is actually a dystopian future?
I was hoping not.
I thought it was just a fantasy. A fantasy story set in space.
If it is a fantasy, it's also a dystopian fantasy. Because think about it, okay? We've seen, Star Wars is not a world where I would want to live, right? Like, if you're a woman and you have a kid in Star Wars, you're probably gonna die. What type of advanced society has women dying in childbirth? What type of let's think about this, right? You have this massive totalitarian regime.
well, technically, she didn't die at childbirth. She just lost her will to live when Anakin went to the dark side.
No, I'm saying she died in childbirth. She died from complications due to childbirth. I mean, it didn't help that her husband fucking killed a whole bunch of little kids, but I mean, hell, you know, a lot of people have done some horrible things. I'm not gonna die because they did horrible things. I mean, you know, like people getting their arms chopped off, a totalitarian regime took over the entire known galaxy, and not only once, but fucking twice. And no one's figured out, hey man, you know, maybe we need to change up how we do business around here.
Yeah.
Not a very nice, like if you said, okay, do you want to be in this do you want to be in this I'm going to consider it futuristic because they have spaceships and instant transportation and people going around fighting with energy swords and shit. That's amazing. Planet destroying weapons. That's awesome. But Jesus Christ, does the other stuffs around in your stuff suck? Your medical technology is ass. Oh God, I lost my hand. Well, shit, we're gonna have to give you a prosthetic. Fuck. Do you know what happens in Star Trek when you lose a hand? They will go and take some of your DNA, grow you a new hand, and graft that shit on your hand.
Which is something pretty amazing if you think about it.
And it's something I want to be real because I don't want to die with any of my limbs missing.
They're already doing that shit. They're already figuring out ways to take people's stem cells and grow new body parts with the shit and attach it to people's body. I guarantee you that in the next 20, 30 years, people are going to be able to go, right? They're going to go, you're going to be able to go, and like, let's say you have a bad liver, they'll take some cells from you, they'll go into your DNA, grow a new liver, use DNA CRISPR, which is like that DNA resequencing technology, to go in and make it so that this liver is really, really friggin' healthy. Implant your own liver, your grown cultured liver into your body, take out the bad liver, and I mean, they're going to be able to do shit like that. That is some unique, awesome technology.
The only downside is that you'll be left with a scar to where your stuff is.
Look, but your ass is alive. So my point is this. I mean, you know, you go to the Star Wars universe, you lose a limb, you're fucked. You won't bleed out because if it's a lightsaber, you're instantly cauterized. But still, I mean, they have shitty medical things, the medical technology. The food doesn't look that good. I mean, it's dystopian. Like the Star Wars galaxy. I mean, if you consider it pure fantasy, it's a shitty fantasy world. And if you consider it as science fiction, it's a dystopian science fiction setting. It's like, man, this place sucks ass. Damn. The only good thing is that you might, if you're lucky, you might get sent to Jabba's pleasure palace and see a Twilight chick dance before she gets thrown into a pit with a rancor. That's about it. That's the only. You know, you might get to see Jazz Rebo perform once before you die. Jazz Rebo. I'm not an elephant. So your guys' thoughts on the dystopian future of Star Wars?
Makes me sad to know that with all that technology, there's some things that never change in that series. That's for the worse.
I was about to go justify the dystopian setting because of the title 6 Star Wars, where because the stories take place of wars taking place, like the Galactic Civil War, there were the Clone Wars, and whatnot.
Yeah, that's fair, but it's still pretty shitty. I mean, like, let me put it this way. Even when you see the quote-unquote nice parts of Star Wars, like the nicer areas, it's like, this doesn't seem like a place I'd want to live. You know? Like if you watch Star Trek, right, and they go to like, let's say you're watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and you go to Benjamin Sisko's dad's restaurant, Sisko's, right, and the guy's making jambalaya in the background. He's like, I got some gumbo cooking. Go peel them crawdads. You know, go work in the kitchen. It's like, you know, this is a nice place. I wouldn't mind going here and eating. I mean, you go to Star Wars and it's like you see people eating. It's like, what the fuck are these people eating? Ew. I mean, everything around there just looks shitty. You go to Endor, you got these cute little teddy bear creatures that fucking eat people.
Oh.
Yeah, they eat people. Yeah. You want to know what happened to those stormtroopers? Got knocked off their speeder bikes and taken hostage by the Ewoks.
They are
ate
on
them.
dinner plates.
They ate them. They fucking ate them. So you can say, "Oh, you're so cute." It's horrific. It's terrifying. Star Wars is terrifying. It's one of the most terrifying science fiction, if you consider it science fiction, universes. It's dystopian and it's terrifying. It's horrifying.
For me, I consider it dangerous.
If you're a woman in the Star Wars universe, the odds of something horrific happening to you are like multiplied. You're either going to be tortured, die in childbirth. I mean, basically what I'm saying is don't be a woman in the Star Trek universe unless you're the chosen one woman. And that's only like one person out of like billions. So probably not going to be you if you go there. So just don't go. Don't go to the Star Wars universe. It's horrible. Don't go there.
What about Marvel's cosmic universe, such as Guardians of the Galaxy?
It depends. Are you talking about the cinematic universe or the comics?
Both of them. Exactly.
It's not that bad if you go someplace nice. I mean, sure, you have to deal with crazy motherfuckers like Thanos every once in a while, Galactus eating fucking planets, but I mean, you got superheroes fighting against those types of people, and like 85% of the time the heroes win, so 85% of the time it's pretty safe, relatively speaking.
Just be careful of where the action happens.
No.
As I said, just be careful where the action happens, because even though the heroes usually save the day,
yeah,
there's a lot of collateral damage.
I said 85% of the time they save the day. There's always that 15% where it's just not your day, player.
Yeah, but you forget something. Sometimes that 85% involves collateral damage.
Yeah, so
if you're within range of the collateral damage, that's what you should be worrying more about.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're talking about collateral damage, I mean, you're talking about two colossal titans fighting against each other. First of all, look, let me put it this way, all right? If I lived in the Marvel universe and said, man, the Hulk is fighting the Juggernaut, I say, well, I'm getting the fuck out the city right now. Because that is some major shit. Now, if someone says, hey, man, Wilson Fisk is fighting the Daredevil, I'm going to videotape that shit and bootleg it and sell it on DVDs, because that's a street fight worth watching. But there's different levels of collateral damage, okay? Like there's like.
Wouldn't that make you a target to the Kingpin if you?
Look, he's in jail. He's not gonna have time to be worrying about me videotaping him and the Daredevil fighting each other, fighting it out in a street, in a dirty back alley. He's gonna be busy trying not to be someone's bitch in prison. Actually, considering as large as Wilson Fisk is, I'm pretty sure he would say, "I believe you dropped the soap. Bend over and pick it up. Pick up the soap." No, I'm okay. I don't need to pick up that soap. I want you to pick up that soap. No, I'm good. I'm good. I guess my ass is just gonna be stanky for the entire time.
This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when we get into some real interesting stuff on the Sci-Fi Power Hour-ish.
Well, I mean, the argument that like, here's the thing, okay? Like, when you're talking about let's put superheroes into three categories. Category one is basically like Spider-Man, Daredevil, Luke Cage. Like, they aren't destroying buildings, right? They're fighting a criminal. Like, evil criminal might do some shit, but typically it's just going to be confined to that area or, that room, whatever. Then you get category two. Category two, someone like Iron Man, Black Panther. They have far-reaching effects, but it's still kind of localized, right? But then you get class three and above, which are like, these are superheroes.
The Hulk.
Yeah, these are superheroes that can basically destroy continents, cities, islands. Like, basically, I don't want to, like, here's the thing, I don't want to live anywhere near those people. I would seriously, it's like the city, like, I wouldn't live near Arizona because he's always homing back into Arizona. I'm not going there because I'm like, I don't want that motherfucker destroying my house again. I mean, could you imagine being an insurance claim adjuster in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? We can cover it. This is the third time my house has been destroyed by superheroes. Well, who told you to build your house next to a conspicuous evil volcanic layer? Well, look, man, I was broke and I needed someplace to live. Shit, what can I say?
Yeah, you're right. I said collateral damage because there are some fighters that have explosive battles going on.
Yeah, fair enough.
And and that's just the hero side. And the villains, oh boy.
Yeah, but villains, see, that's the thing about being a villain. Villains typically they don't care about collateral damage because they're a villain. A villain doesn't care about the people they have to kill.
If you're depending on the villain, collateral damage can be ranged from local streets to get the heck out of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you've also got politics involved with using superheroes causing collateral damage is a big deal and why they should be regulated.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to keep it real. The Civil War film kind of took like the Civil War in the comics and made it like more reasonable. Because in the comics, it was just some bullshit. I'm just gonna say it right now. It was some total bullshit. But I mean, it's still. Marvel. The Marvel world is kind of a difficult way to call it dystopian because the Marvel world actually is like it's
more real than you imagine.
It's more of a reflection of our modern times. It's not like a future setting or a past setting or something like that. Although there are stories that take place in the past and the future, alternate versions, alternates. But I mean, it is what it is. Let's see, other dystopian futures. Well, I mean, I read the article that Polygon did. It was a pretty good little encapsulation of what cyberpunk is. And I guess it's time to talk about the cyberpunk realities that we would actually want to go to, if you will.
That would be a hard call for me. So you guys try your luck first.
All right. I wouldn't mind going into Shadowrun. Shadowrun universe. Because the Shadowrun universe is like set in like 2057, and that's not too far in the future. And basically, the whole premise behind Shadowrun is that it's set in a corporate-run future, kind of like Cyberpunk, except like magic awoke. So you've got technology mixed with magic. and the traditional races of magic. So you've got like trolls and elves and half elves and dwarves and orcs, but you've also got normal humans and you've got demons. But you know, you can have two people going to work, an elf and a human, and you know, they work on computers and do tech shit. It's actually a pretty interesting world to live in. I like it.
For me, probably the Ghost in the Shell, Cyberpunk universe.
Man, the only reason you want to go there is so that you could see Major Kusanagi in her naked suit. You're gonna be like that guy, get his ass kicked. It was totally worth it.
Also, because at least it's much more has a much more positive atmosphere when it comes to prosthetic replacement.
I would not call Ghost in. Well, I mean, it depends. If you read the later comics, they're kind of a little bit more positive. The beginning ones that is fucking dystopian as fuck. I mean, have you seen the early ones where she's like borderline suicidal because she's not happy with her life?
Oh, and she is because she is struggling on whether or not she's completely human, because she's 99% machine and only 1% human.
I think what turned her around was that she finally got with her boyfriend, the mechanic. Forgot his name, but he's a mechanic. He's like he's not a mechanic. He's a cybernetic mechanical specialist. So, you know.
You mean Bato?
No. It's another guy. Like he's the guy who in the beginning is basically like her is like the cybernetic like he helps fix her when she's on the fritz, when like parts of her are on the fritz. He's that guy, and eventually because in the beginning of the series she's in a relationship with another woman, and then like they break up like halfway through like the series, and then eventually like right now she's in a relationship with the guy who was her mechanic. Well, he still is a mechanic, but she's in a relationship with him. And when she gets with him, like her outlook, like I guess because of her interactions with him, like her outlook on a lot of stuff changes. So she's not as suicidal, but or batshit crazy.
Right.
No suicidal or batshit crazy.
So Joel, which cyberpunk universe would you rather live in?
It's probably Outlaw Star, but that's pushing luck here.
Now that'd be a cool universe to be in. Just the only downside is that you'd have to deal with Gene Starwind trying to sleep with every woman that he sees that's mildly hot, or actually really hot, actually, because he's just, you know, you got one eye, you're hot, I'm going for it. You're a beast woman, I'm going for it. You're a katana wielding samurai assassin swords lady, I'm going for it. You're a biological computer, I'm going for
it. He has 3 potential hot girls in a sense, and I'm surprised he hasn't been hurt for trying to go for at least 2 of them.
4.
You know, if
you read the manga, Gene Starwind is a player, not player. Player. Melfina, the Katao girl, the samurai chick, and
those 2 are the ones I was saying that I'm surprised he hasn't gotten killed for.
No, he's just he's talented. He's very talented with his guns, all of them.
You know, come to think of it, I'm surprised that none of us have mentioned the Gundam franchise or Cowboy Bebop.
I don't. I'm not touching Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I'm not touching Cowboy Bebop either because I'm not a big fan of Cowboy Bebop. So you know, Like I don't know enough about it to really like whether or not I'd want to be in it. As far as Gundam goes,
Pick
I
your
mean,
poison.
the thing is that Gundam's kind of a shitty universe anyway, because it seems like every 20 years there's a civil war between the Earth and the colonies, and you have these motherfuckers with giant mechs going around terrorizing people. So I mean, that'd be a shitty universe. Like the only way I'd want to live in the Gundam universe is if I had a Gundam and I was good enough to pilot it. Like if I was just a normal person, I'd be fuck this universe. Hell no. And even then, it's probably like if you watch Iron Orphans, even if you have a Gundam, you're probably fucked. So it's Gundam is not a fun world to be in. I'm just saying it.
It depends on what kind of position you end up in. If you
and neither does Neon Genesis Evangelion and Darling in the Franxx, because only kids can ride on robots.
No, Neon Evangelion I'm not going with because I fucking hate Evangelion. I mean it's dystopian, but I don't like that fucking anime or the manga. Oh god, I hate that manga. Oh Jesus Christ, I hate that. I hate that franchise.
it's painful, isn't it?
Well, you know what? You know, the point where I said fuck you to that franchise was in the very first season, where it's like where the main character walks in on his dad sleeping with this essentially 12-year-old girl. And I didn't know what was going on until I read the manga. And I'm like, fuck this franchise. And from then I was like, nope, I'm done. Everyone's like, it's fuck this. No. Pedophilia is where I draw the line with a lot of mangas. I'm like, nope.
And you got the people who praise the anime, saying that how it handles mental disorders as well. Like the main character is suffering from depression due to.
It may, but the reason the main character is suffering from depression is because his father's a piece of shit and treats him he treats his son like a piece of shit.
With a father like that, I'm surprised he hasn't been arrested.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that they're in the apocalypse, because if it wasn't in the apocalypse, that man would be thrown in jail on top of the pedophilia thing.
I was going to say,
and I know people who are fans of Evangelion are like, but really, he thinks that that's the incarnated version of his wife. I don't give a fuck.
Fudge.
That girl in the show's like 12. That's nasty as fuck. I'm sorry. That is.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah, she's like 12.
She's actually 14.
Look, in the
14,
show, in the anime, she's like
better.
In the anime, she's 14. In the manga, she is 12. Either way,
12,
you know what? Here's what I would do if I wanted to give that show credit. I would have if he'd have pulled out a gun and shot him in the face, shot him in the head, and killed his dad right then and there. I would have been like, kill that pedophile motherfucker. That would have been an interesting way to take the story, but instead we had to deal with this fuck. So I'm done. Like I was like, that was the point where I washed my hands of the franchise, and I was like, I'm done. Because there's some shit where I'm just like, I can't.
Nope.
For the sake of the story, yeah, I can't let certain things go. And pedophilia is one of those things where unless you're doing something that's very like for example, and if you watch Luke Cage season 2, there's a scene where, well, shit, I know some people say spoilers, but fuck it. There's a scene where you find out that Black Mariah, the reason she doesn't really connect with her daughter is because her daughter is a product of rape and incest and pedophilia. She was raped by her uncle. That's some fucked up shit. It's like, god damn. But
what were they on?
Like the story, well, he was a sick bastard himself. But like her cousin kills her uncle for doing that. Like he says, you know what, this motherfucker needs to die, so he kills him. Okay, now I mean it's, you know, part of the story. It's like, wow, this is some deep ass shit. I mean this shit's, but like I said, Evangelion's not that good. There's no deep, like here's my problem with anime, right? It's like more or less they don't, like anime has a really stylized version and it looks really cool, but they don't, most of them don't tell these deep involved stories. Like you have to infer shit or find a Wikipedia.
For that, I have to say your mileage may vary, because some of these stories are pretty good, while others, well, they leave you hanging for dear life, saying this could have been better.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of the actiony ones, if you're looking for deep involving, like I find Evangelion to be this sanctimonious, over pretentious bullshit. That people are like, it's so deep. I'm like, it's not. It's giant mechs fighting each other. Big fucking deal. With a slice of pedophilia and a main character who's kind of an asshole.
The reason why they call it deep is because of the religious symbolism.
Yeah, which the symbolism that he added was basically, he just added it by the way. It wasn't any purposeful thing. He himself said, yeah, I put it in there because it looked cool. I'm telling you, it's pretentious bullshit. There's no, like, people are like, it's so deep, it changed my life. It's bullshit. It's an anime that has some religious symbolism in it, a little bit of pedophilia, and a protagonist who's kind of an asshole. I mean, he's not Luke von Faber bad, but he's kind of an asshole. He's not the nicest.
Not to mention, it set the foundations of pretty much every tiresome anime trope in today's anime, such as the depressed main character and the kudere.
No, I don't think it did. It basically, it set off a lot of imitations, but eventually the industry began to equalize itself, which is good because I was getting tired of the emo main characters too. The anime that set the standard for animes for the longest time, and now they're starting to get back to it, thank fucking God, is Astro Boy, with the plucky young shonen, you know, character doing shit. Which is why I know a lot of people like fuck One Piece, but One Piece got back to being shonen, brought back shonen type stuff. Which, I mean, not that I'm averse to female characters.
I'm going to say this.
Anime.
One Piece is looking so thick with what was it? Oh yeah, filler, that I'm wondering if it's safe to be in the diet.
Yeah, but even the filler's pretty fun. Because you're always getting, like, even if they're like, okay, it's a side story, it's still got some cool shit going on and character development and stuff, which is cool. Not like Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z has filler where it's like, man, all this shit happened and all of it gets negated in the next episode. It's like, fuck. Why would you even do that? Oh wait, you need to pad this shit out. Oh, I forgot.
As I said,
because they don't want
to
because they don't want to catch up with the current chapters of the manga.
No, I mean there is filler in One Piece, but I'm saying that the filler in One Piece, there's still stuff going on. Like, okay, if Luffy is trying to get to this island or whatever, and he has some fillers, like a side story where he gets caught up in this fight with some shark pirates. There's some cool shit in that filler. Like, you see some awesome fights, Luffy being a badass, his crew being badasses. There's shit there that substantively adds to the filler. Dragon Ball Z is fucking horrible with filler because you get this awesome shit going on and it means nothing. Like that whole sequence in Dragon Ball Super, where Dragon Ball Z, the Buu Saga, where Gohan goes and he gets trained. And it's like he's gonna be badass, and he like gets his ass kicked in like one episode. It's like, what's the fucking point of all this shit? And fuck off with this bullshit. I mean, there's filler, there's good filler, and then there's like, fuck, this is just a waste of time.
I was going to make the joke that there's
and then they had
there's
to
low calorie and there's high calorie filler.
Yeah.
And then they had to pad out the fight sequences with 10 episodes.
Yeah. Well, that was the Frieza saga right there. That was, and it just got worse with each. Like the Cell saga was worse. The Boo saga was worse even still. And then I'm sorry. I'm not going to get into Dragon Ball. But let's see.
Is that before or after Super?
I mean, if this was a typical Western American cartoon, a battle sequence usually lasts for 1 or 2 parts.
I mean, I won't go that far. I'm just gonna say that the combat sequences in the Dragon Ball Z just took it too far, and Super actually kind of went back a little bit from like all that fucking filler.
It's still over the top.
It's a little too much, but at least it's not as bad as it was with the Z. Here's what I'll say about Dragon Ball Super. It only had 3 arcs, and they ended it. Thank God. Because like Z had like 4 arcs. No, 5. Because it had the Saiyan saga, the Namek saga, the Frieza saga, the Cell saga, and then the Boo saga. No, the Android saga, and then the Boo saga. The Android saga, the Cell saga, and then the Boo saga. That's Saiyan, Namek, Saiyan, Namek, Frieza, Android, Cell, Boo. Sorry, that's 6. That's 6. That's 6 sagas. That's too many damn story arcs. I mean, it's too many arcs. That's too many. Because the original Dragon Ball had Red Ribbon Army,
the Demon King Piccolo,
Daimao Piccolo, which is the original, evil King Piccolo, and then the World's Strongest Tournament. Like all of them kind of ended with the World's Strongest Tournament. Like Red Ribbon Army, that saga ended with the first Budokai tournament Goku was in, and then the second one, the Daimao Piccolo one, the second one, the Daimao Piccolo one, ended with the Shin Tenhan winning the World's Strongest Tournament, and then the third one ended with Goku winning the World's Strongest Tournament against Ma Junior. They didn't call him Piccolo then. He was just called Ma Junior. Ma Junior. Which is just it's supposed to be a playoff of Enma Junior, which is evil, little evil king, but
but with how it's pronounced, it sounds
no. It's a play off the word Enma Junior, but they just call him Ma Junior, which is a playoff of Little Demon King, which makes sense because he's the son of Daimao Piccolo.
And he still uses it. And he still uses it as his alias when they went to the World Martial Arts Tournament in the Boo saga.
Yeah, here's the irony though. He's still the best. He's the best father figure in Dragon Ball Z. In Dragon Ball period, he's the best father figure because Goku's a terrible father and Vegeta's a terrible father.
I was gonna say, father figures are few and far between in Dragon Ball. Hercule is
Hercule's a terrible dad too.
I was gonna say Hercule. I would compare him with Goku on that scale.
No, he's a little bit better than Goku because Hercule's actually around his daughter. Goku's very rarely around his. Like I don't know how he had kids because he's not around Chi-Chi often enough. Like what was that? You just hit it and left. And then there's Vegeta, who I'm sorry, Bulma, you fucked up marrying Vegeta. I'm sorry, that was a fuck up of massive proportion.
I was gonna say you would prefer them with Yamcha.
Yamcha probably would have been a better father.
Sadly, I agree with you.
Or it was revealed in Dragon Ball Super that Saiyans only marry the strong women.
I can understand that with Chi-Chi, but Bulma?
Bulma's a scientist.
But she's also a loudmouth as well. They're constant nagging.
No. But anyway, Dragon Ball. But I mean, I'm just saying, not a huge fan of that dystopian future. We're almost near the 45-minute mark. Anyone here have anything they want to bring up before we wrap things up?
Sure. The whole news about Rotten Tomatoes, that they're now going to allow YouTube reviews.
Well, that's
into the meter.
I have to wonder what gave them that idea.
It's probably because they want to expand their platform. Because I heard one of the websites I'm subscribed to, Double Toasted, they're now a part of it. So, and they talk shit, especially Martin Thomas. He talks shit about Rotten Tomatoes. It's like, I don't give a shit what Rotten Tomatoes says about shit.
And now they're part of the system.
Yep, they're part of the system.
And you've got several YouTube channels saying how they're against this decision because there are certain YouTube channels with certain agendas that will try to sabotage any potentially good films with their own biases. Like an upset DC fanboy will try to make a negative review toward MCU movie just to make the DC EU movie look good.
Here's what I'm going to say. This has the potential. The Rotten Tomatoes thing has the potential to be a good thing and a bad thing.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be a good thing because if you have a large platform where things are transparent, if someone tries to do that, they'll be called out for it and they might be shamed into correcting themselves, right? There's also a chance, I'm not worried about big YouTubers doing it, but what if you have smaller people using that to bomb certain movies in order to make other movies look good, right?
Right.
So let's flip that. What if you see a DC fan? What if you see a whole bunch of DC fanboys, a group of Marvel fanboys bomb a relatively good DC movie? I know that's a work of fiction because there are very few good DC movies these days. but bear with me here. This is a hypothetical situation. It could happen. A good DC movie, and you're like, this could be, it's not that bad. And then they're like, no, it has to be bad because of our presuppositions. And, they do that. I mean, that could possibly happen. So, anything is possible.
And I also wrote an article how this might also affect Metacritic as well. Should they also adopt that same practice?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to keep it real. I don't think anyone should use Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic as the barometer on whether or not something is good or not, because there are things that score highly on Metacritic that in hindsight suck, and there are things that score kind of poorly that in hindsight aren't that bad. There are movies that were majorly popular, like when they came out, that on Metacritic are like 40%, so which is certified rotten. Under 50% is rotten. So, I mean, you can't go by other people's disposition. You just got to go by, did I like it? Because ultimately you're the one paying to watch it, or if you're not paying for it, it's in your queue, or you have the DVD or the Blu-ray or the VHS or whatever. So the choice is yours.
And I also ran across this article piece about Marvel hoping for a Best Picture category with Black Panther, regardless of the possibility of it being placed under Best Popular Film category.
I'd be cool with it. I mean, I think that how can I put this nicely? I think that Black Panther is one of the best movies of the year, and we've had some good movies come out this year. So I'm not just saying that. Like we had I'm Sorry to Bother You. That movie got a lot of buzz. Like there were some good movies, legitimately good movies that came out this year. Here's what I will say: Black Panther made $700 million domestic, which is something that only 3 other films have managed to do. Not just this year. I mean, film history. Domestically, it made $700 million. So I mean, that means a lot of repeated viewing. People watch the shit out that movie, so it needs to get some type of recognition. I don't think it should get best popular film because it's also legitimately a good film. Is it perfect? No, but it's legitimately good. Like Black Panther's textbook setup payoff in a film. Like there's nothing in the movie that has no setup and no payoff. Like if they set up something, even something minor early on in the film, there's a payoff later on, which is wonderful because there's so many films where shit is set up and it's just dangling there. It's just dangling there. There's no payoff. It's just dangling there. So, I mean, if it gets it, it's cool. If it doesn't, I'm not going to throw a tantrum. I'm not going to flip a table over. How dare you, sir?
And continuing on, 2 Marvel Legends died this week.
A lady who was inker for her brother. I forgot her name. Like Severin, I think was her last name. Martha Severin or something like that.
Yeah, one of the creators of Spider-Woman.
Yeah. And
Ghost Rider.
The guy who created Ghost Rider died?
Yeah.
I didn't know the guy who created Ghost Rider died. I didn't know that.
Yep. Gary Frederick. Actually, one of the co-creators of Ghost Rider.
Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So we have 10 minutes left before the end of this podcast. So I guess now we can get a little bit into the dystopian games section. I kind of brought it up a little bit last time with Shadowrun. Fallout is a dystopian game, but I wouldn't want to be in that universe because it's kind of shitty. Anything else? Any other game that's dystopian that you're like, wow, that would be very interesting?
Not entirely.
All right. So I guess we can pimp out what we're doing. So you want to pimp out something you're doing? Maybe some stuff, some articles that you've written on Discus?
Oh yes, I just recently wrote an article called "Beware of Video Game Hipsters," where and this is an article I've been wanting to write for our video game facts for years now, but I keep putting it on shelves for other topics. But now I had the time to do so. It basically involves people trying to mix Nintendo fanboys with video game hipsters, and because they're accusing Nintendo fans as hipsters.
Well, they are hipsters, but here's the thing: hipster is not a pejorative thing. Like people want to always use it as a pejorative. You're a hipster. If you're into something before it's popular, you're by definition a hipster because you were aware of something being cool before the mass media was a part of it, right? Like
right.
How these people are like, man, Nintendo makes great games. Motherfucker, they've been making great games. You know, they've been making great games for years. Like for over
you just ignored them.
You just
right?
thought you thought I grew up past Nintendo. Like there's an age limit on good content. You know, or people who are into a particular band before they hit the mainstream or whatever. There's nothing wrong about being a video game hipster. If you cut your eye teeth playing Nintendo games, which Nintendo games tend to be more about gameplay over graphics, then I mean that's the type of gamer you like. You're a gaming hipster. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. I wish more gamers valued
Gameplay over visuals,
over graphics. Yeah, because I mean, you know, the
God.
gamers. Let me put this: the gamers that aren't hipsters and think graphics are the equivalent of what's next gen are the reason that gaming as a whole has been dragged down, and why so many developers refuse to do new and interesting things with their games. Instead, they just make shit prettier, you know. Which is bringing it down for everybody. God damn it.
Sadly, that's true.
But hey, man, if you want to disagree with that, that's your thing.
Right, because my argument is that Nintendo has always been, because usually video game hipsters, by definition, would have definitely hate Nintendo games because of their overall popularity on the mainstream, and would rather go for the more obscure.
Yeah, but Nintendo's not really like
Nintendo's more on timeless than
yeah, they're not really popular. They're timeless. Yeah, like popular. If you want to talk about the most popular console manufacturer, it's Sony. For good or for ill, they are the most popular. Like a lot of people, if you ask them each console gen, they'll say, you know, I had a PS1, I had a PS2, I had a PS3, I have a PS4. That's the popular thing. The hipster thing is to say, well, I like Nintendo, even when it's not in. You're a Nintendo gamer. That's hipster shit. All you need is a nice, well-coiffed mustache and a fedora, and you'll be the ultimate Nintendo hipster. Hence why my avatar is my BS Busters avatar is a breaking news me with a well-coiffed mustache and beard and a fedora and a suit and a tie. That's ironic. Wrote an article talking shit about hipsters. The channel's run by hipsters. Sorry. But yeah, Nintendo is not really what I would call popular. Like basically, it's kind of like when the Wii, right? Remember when the Wii took off?
Yeah.
Like the Wii was popular, right? Like a lot of like casual people got onto it. But I mean, when the Wii U came out, those people didn't transition over, right?
Though, but Nintendo's still being talked about. Despite the Wii U struggle, which means they're still relevant.
Yeah, but relevance doesn't equal popularity. It just means that you have a presence in the, you know, in the social strata. Which, I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, I would say Nintendo was at its most popular during the 3rd and 5th gen. Because that's when you only had
the
like
NES and the GameCube. I mean 64.
No, the 3rd and 4th gen was the NES and the SNES. So basically, the NES, Nintendo dominated that generation. The 3rd gen was Nintendo's "fuck all y'all, we own this shit" generation. The 4th gen, Sega comes in and fights the king for the crown, and they had to split it for a long time. But it was still a pretty good gen because we had some great games. Then Sony comes in and kicks everybody's ass and takes over. The 5th gen was the generation of Sony. The 6th gen
asked me, they actually stole the crown because they
did. They did, but I mean, look, regardless, it was still the most popular console. 5th gen, generation of the PS1. 6th gen, generation of the PS2. 7th gen's weird. Because the 7th gen was Nintendo coming back with the Wii. And they were like, fuck all y'all, we're the kings, we built this house. And then the 8th gen comes, and Nintendo's like, okay, maybe I spoke too soon. And it becomes an easy target for people to shit on because it's not like the other two consoles. And then the 9th gen comes, which Nintendo has started with the Switch. And the Switch is really a popular console. It's doing well in Japan because it scratches that itch for people who want a portable. It's doing well in America because it's basically a powered up Wii U in your hands, but you can also attach it to your TV, and it's portable. So, but still, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't consider Nintendo to be like the most popular console maker anymore.
I consider Nintendo to be as popular as Sony and Microsoft, which I describe video game hipsters as hating equally. I would rather.
I wouldn't say they're as popular as Sony, because they aren't. Because Sony is more ubiquitous than Nintendo. Because Sony, like Nintendo just makes games. All right, that's all they do. Everything they do is connected to gaming. Sony has their hands in many pies. Okay, they make
movies, they make music, they make games, they make TVs.
They don't really make games, but they make video game consoles that people can use to make their games. They do TVs, they do movies, they do TV shows, they do cameras. I mean, Sony has more popular reach than Nintendo does. So I mean, I like Nintendo, but I'm not gonna,
They have their moments.
I'm not like, okay, let me put just because I like something doesn't necessarily mean it's ultra popular with everybody. Like, for example, I like to make my own bacon. That doesn't mean that because I like to make my own bacon that's a popular thing for a lot of people. So while I like Nintendo and I acknowledge that they've really begun to get their shit together with the Switch, I won't say the Switch is the most popular gaming device on the market right now. It's definitely got a lot of momentum behind it because they have games, or they have the it game of this year coming out for it, which is Smash Brothers, because it's Smash Brothers. But I guess I can talk about what I'm pimping out. Basically, speaking about video game hipsters, if you go to my channel, you will have seen me talking about my definition of what an RPG is. Some people may say, why are you defining an RPG? Because I'm tired of people putting games that clearly aren't RPGs.
They're mostly gun games
as RPGs. Like I shit you not, I am doing a video right now, not right now, but I've been doing a video today where they put Breath of the Wild as a fucking RPG.
What? Are you? I'm sorry.
I'm not surprised because
Can I at least say something about that?
I'm not surprised because I've seen people categorizing Ocarina of Time as an RPG as well.
Yeah, when I was a little kid and rental stores were big, you would go into the RPG section, to the video game RPGs rental section, and they would have Link to the Past as an RPG. Like, this shit's not an RPG. It's not a role-playing game. It's not. It's an action-adventure game. It's not a role-playing game. Role-playing denotes that your choices affect the gaming world in semi-permanent ways, and you have multiple choices that go beyond simple binary yes/no effects, right?
Right.
That's a role-playing game, and you have stats that go up and go down. Link can kill thousands upon thousands of enemies. He's never going to get any better at using a sword doing that. Okay? He can get better equipment.
The only way you get stronger in that game is by getting better loot.
Yeah, you got to find shit. You want Link to have more health, you got to find shit to do that. Or use food or potions or whatever. But like, that's not an RPG. They put Dark Souls as an RPG. I'm like, that's not a fucking RPG. That's an action adventure.
I was gonna say that's an action game with a touch of RPG in it.
Yeah,
because
it has RPG elements, like there's stats and you can level up.
I said a touch because how much do those stats mean when you're trying to evade in order to do damage?
Well, raising your stamina is important because it lets you do more dodge rolls. But my point is that they're not like RPGs. And I mean, like literally, it was a list of like Game Radar's 25 of the best RPGs to play right now. And I'm like, I counted out the 25 of them, and I was like,
there's barely
are not RPGs.
I was gonna say, I thought there was less than 10 that were RPGs.
No, they had a list of 25. 13 of them are not RPGs. The other 12 are RPGs, but some of those RPGs aren't very good. I shit you not. We can talk about it tomorrow because I'll probably upload that video later on tonight. But my point is this, okay?
Oh, let's go. Let's keep that for tomorrow.
I hate when people say these are the best. This is our best art. That's like, you have a very lax definition of what that is, okay? It's like someone saying, well, I was playing Tiddlywinks, and that's a RPG. No, it's not. So yeah, so that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow. And we have the Labor Day BS Buster cast tomorrow. I might do a live stream Monday for one of the games I have. I might live stream The Messenger because I recently got that on Steam, and it's pretty damn fun. Although people keep on saying it's like Ninja Gaiden. It's more Metroidvania-esque than Ninja Gaiden, but whatever. So that's the end of this podcast. Thank you for joining. I think everyone pimped out what they wanted to pimp out, except for Jewel. Jewel, pimp out what you want to pimp out before we wrap things up.
I got nothing to pimp out, really. I'm just busy making things, and I actually got a playtest about to start, but that's next week.
All right, so that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for joining. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. If you have friends that are interested in science fiction or video gaming, don't hesitate to share our videos with your communities and whatnot, circles and friends and stuff, because trying to grow the channel. So with that being said, thank you and good day.